I moved to Columbia from Santa Cruz, California in September of 2020. I'd never been to Columbia. I found out about Columbia through finding a house through a friend. I just found a house here that I fell in love with, and my husband and I packed up all our stuff and moved cross country, having never been here. We moved in the middle of the pandemic, and so there wasn't a lot to do. There wasn't a lot of places to go or places to get to know people. So there was a lot of isolation happening. That isolation led to some bad decisions, which led to a lot of chaos in my life. In June or July of 2021, I was in a pretty dark place. There was a lot of chaos in my life, and I was dealing with suicidal thoughts, something that's been an off and on in my life. I've dealt with depression and anxiety for a long time. In August, my mom came to visit because I was in a really bad place. I needed her to come and help me, and while I was here, I wanted her to take me to churches, because through all of this, through all of the chaos that happened in this last summer, one of the things I came to realize was that Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. That was not something that I would have considered prior to June of 2021. When my mom was here, she found some churches. The second one on her list was Calvary Chapel. Now, I'd heard about Calvary Chapel because my neighbor across the street, Trish, had told me that that was the church that she was going to. I was like, okay, we can go to that one. On August 13th, I ended up going to the emergency room, and I spent 14 hours there and eventually saw a doctor who gave me some medication to help me with the suicidal thoughts. On August 14th, Trish came over and invited us to come to the church that we were already planning on coming to the next day. So August 15th was the first time I came to service here at Calvary Chapel. After the service, Trish wanted to introduce me to Jimmy. She said there's this program that he's doing, and I had seen it in the announcements. I was like, that might be something good for me to do. And so Trish introduced me to Jimmy, and I immediately felt a kinship with him, and I was like, okay, I think this trauma reboot thing might be a really good place for me. It's one thing I know, having dealt with depression and suicidal thoughts, is the more people I'm around, the less I feel like that's something that is an option. And so the next day, August 16th, I took my mom to the airport in the morning, and she was gone, and I was going to be alone until I got to see a doctor 12 days later. So I came to Trauma Reboot, and I immediately felt like it was a safe place for me to be. I was in the middle of a lot of stuff, and somebody talked to me about Star Trek and Major Kira, and that made me feel at home. That made me feel like I was in the right place. Trauma Reboot literally saved my life. The people there, being able to have a place to go, to know that I had people around me, helped get me through the next 12 days. CC&E had lots of things going on. The day after, I went to morning prayer because I was waking up really early in the morning and I just needed some place to go. And then Wednesday I had something, and like Saturday I had something, and so it was, and all of those different events helped me get through one day at a time until I could get my mood more stabilized. Trauma Reboot has been so incredibly helpful for me because it taught me things about forgiveness that I didn't understand. I had always thought that I was supposed to learn how to forgive myself and learn how to love myself. And Trauma Reboot helped me understand that it's about letting God's love and forgiveness in, not about me doing it. And Trauma Reboot also gave me, helped me to discover that I needed a church family. And through Trauma Reboot and the other things happening here at CC&E, I found a church family. And on October 24th, I got baptized. And that is, it was an incredibly significant moment for me. And I deeply appreciate the Trauma Reboot group and everyone in it, because without them, I don't know if I'd be here. Does that work?